Hello and welcome to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am Mallory McGary, your host. I am the CEO and founder of beautifully blooming.com. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email in at mallory at beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcasts, the #1 internet talk network. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, I have a topic that kind of hit me really hard a couple weeks ago, and something I've been kind of thinking about in the back of my mind. So I'm putting it out there and to talk about today. I think it's something that's going forward as women, especially, it seems like it's hard to talk about. And in a couple of weeks, our next episode, this is going to be a two-parter. So I'm going to come at it from the view of a mom and a woman. And then I have a really good friend of mine who is going to join us next time and talk about it from a man's point of view and just interact with that conversation. So mark that on your calendar. Same time to see part 2 of this. But for part 1, I'm coming at it from a perspective of a mom, of a wife, of a woman in general. And the topic today is compliments. And I think it's something that is not necessarily always totally thought through or just kind of brushed aside. And we never really think about our reactions or the way that we respond to them or the way that we give them, in fact. And as always, in my research, I looked up the definition of the word compliment, and there are two that the top three really stood out to me. And so the first one is an expression of praise or admiration. The second one is a formal act of expression of respect. And then a compliment is also a courteous greeting, depending on what that looks like in your life. But the two that really hit home was that it's a sign of respect and that it is also a sign of admiration. And we don't think about compliments being that, right? We don't think about them being exactly something that people admire about you or necessarily that you admire about somebody else. I know that there are times in majority of the time I don't really think about it being like my compliments being something of admiration, of saying, oh, I really like your dress. It kind of comes out. I don't really think too much about it. But giving those is something that I have realized I'm better at giving them than receiving. And most people that I have talked to, clients of mine, friends of mine, family members, have found that it is easier to give a compliment than to receive a compliment. And yes, there is a difference, as in all things, right? Giving and receiving is different. And giving a compliment is really what you're doing without noticing or saying that you're doing it out of admiration or respect. It just kind of comes out. You see it and you're like, oh, I really like that. Or great work on a project or something that you've done, taking care of. Maybe it's something that is more in the vein of like thank you, a gratitude that is the compliment for whatever it is. Maybe it's thank you for dinner from your family. Maybe it's you did a great job on project or a work thing you're trying to get done. And maybe it's just, as simple as I like your hairstyle or your dress or whatever it is that you're wearing, something on your person. But giving them easy. We see it, we want to say something about it, and we do. And there's no real fear of rejection in that. People like to have that praise and that they're seen a little bit. That's kind of how I feel compliments are to me, is that people have seen me, people have noticed that I'm there, so they'll say something about it. But let's talk about the receiving end for a second. It is something that I have discovered is very hard. And I think I probably noticed it more in the last probably couple of weeks as this topic has hit me really hard. Um, but not really paid attention to in a forefront of my life coming up to here. And it's compliments in general. We'll divide it up into three of compliments in work and compliments and like on your person, clothes, hairstyle, whatever. And then um, just in general. So we're going to start with in general first, of just, a gratitude compliment of thank you, or that was a delicious dinner, or something that is just kind of more in a vein of gratitude. It's easy to say thank you and move on for some things, right? I find that if I try something new, a meal or something for my family, and they're like, that was really good, I say thank you, but, and then some qualifier behind it, whether it was a maiden voyage. That's usually what I call a first timer for a meal. It was a maiden voyage. It was not as great as I expected. The recipe, give some sort of qualifier into why it was or was not successful, or what I felt like I needed to say to validate why the compliment should be kind of more brushed aside. And it doesn't have to be that way, right? Thank you. Like that was a delicious meal. Thank you. For the vein of gratitude, I feel that it is a little bit easier to just say thank you and move on a little bit, as opposed to something for a project or in with your individual self. So next we're going to jump into the vein of a career, and that being, you've done a great job on a project, something that has feedback to it. And when I think of a compliment for a work career based compliment, I think more of it as being feedback and positive feedback. And these are the things that I really liked about what you've done, or these things really stood out to me. This project went all over really well. You handled it really well. It's more of a feedback based. It's not necessarily saying an admiration type of compliment. It sometimes doesn't come out that way. But having that positive feedback, that positive reinforcement of saying, I did a great job. Everybody liked what I did. My project went off without a hitch, whatever that looks like in your scope of a career, that it is something that is easier to take as positive feedback, and that positive reinforcement and build up. And it's, thank you. I usually don't have a lot of qualifiers behind that. It's like, it went off great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Whatever that looks like. In the feedback, you receive that differently. And you were looking at it differently because you're seeing it more as a positive feedback. And then last but not least, the one I think is the hardest to take are compliments about your person. And I don't know where it has been taught, if we just come pre-programmed this way, or where we get conditioned for this, that, and especially from a woman's point of view. So all men in listening into this, hang out for the next episode until we get the other side of the coin, and or send in feedback about this. I would love to know your thoughts. But where we have more qualifiers that come along with a compliment, like if we don't have a qualifier, it's not good enough. We have to feel that extra validation into what the compliment actually is. So for those of you that can see me right now, I'm in a plain white t-shirt. My makeup is not done. My hair is kind of a hot mess. It's been just one of those days at my house, in full transparency, as we all know that being a mom is sometimes not the easiest of jobs. But these are the times also that I feel like compliments come and you're not really prepared for it because you're in a state of like, I'm kind of disheveled. I'm not really put together. I'm not feeling super confident in the person that I am right now. So when somebody gives you the compliment, so say somebody gave me the compliment of like, I really like your hair. And I could be like, I could say thousands of things right after it. And a couple examples, I haven't washed it in a couple days. I had to throw it up in just a messy bun. I just had to get it out of my face. My kids were pulling on it. So whatever it looks like. Normally my standard go-to, and I am super guilty of the qualifiers, and it is a conscious decision I'm working on, is I haven't washed it in a couple days. So there's a lot of dry shampoo, there's a lot of product in there that I'm on like the last strand, and I just haven't done anything with it right now. A great example. I know I'm not alone because I hear it back to me probably about the same amount of times that I give that same qualifier. Or I really like your outfit. Oh, I've had it for a really long time. It's kind of slouchy. I feel a little frumpy. I haven't done my laundry. Whatever qualifier comes after that, I feel that when I say things in those moments that because I'm not confident in how I feel at the moment, that I need to brush aside the compliment because I can't fully accept it because I'm not accepting where I'm at right now and what I feel like right now. So some things to think about in how you receive a compliment. Do you give a qualifier? For any of you, I would love to know what your qualifiers are. I'm wanting to know that I'm not alone and the only one giving that in the thank you, but when I could just say thank you and move along and accept what that is and moving forward in how that looks. There isn't really anywhere that I could think of in my brainstorming for this episode of where I learned that I had to have something behind a nice something that people gave me, of people wanting to express that they noticed me, that they saw me, that they admired something about me, that they're respecting me, of those sorts, where I learned I can't fully accept that acknowledgement in that, yes, I am here, I did that thing, or I am like, I appreciate that you noticed my dress or my shoes or my hair, whatever that is, notice the person that I am, that I have to give something that kind of simmers down, brushes it under the rug, but also simmers down the importance and significance that that means to me. I know, and I've heard from clients of mine and friends of mine that by receiving a compliment, it's like, oh, thank you so much for just taking that, or I really needed that at that moment. I needed to know that, like, I was seen. I was feeling a little awkward in maybe what I was wearing or in what I was working on, but you saw what I was doing and it gave me the motivation or the confidence to move forward and what that looks like. So where we don't have to have that qualifier behind it. And we're going to cut to commercial break really quickly. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the ways that we can accept a compliment without giving the qualifier. So you are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email in at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the CEO and founder of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email in at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcasts, the #1 internet talk network. Welcome back. I am so glad to have you here for this last part of our episode, in that we are talking about compliments. And we're going to recap what we talked about in the first little bit if you're hopping in for right now, but how receiving compliments is a lot harder than giving them. That when we receive a compliment, we feel the need to give a qualifier. Again, this is from a women's point of view. So men out there, email in, hit me, find me on Instagram at Mallory McGary and send me your thoughts. I have a friend that will be joining me on the next episode that will be talking about a man's perspective on this. But I would love to hear your thoughts on how this goes for you guys as well. I obviously don't know. I can't speak because I don't know what it feels like in those shoes. But how easier to give compliments than to receive compliments. And we're going to jump into how to accept compliments without giving the qualifier, which the qualifier to me is the thank you but, or the thank you and, or like thanks but, whatever, like the qualifier behind it that simmers down the importance and the significance of the compliment to somebody. Number 1, just say thank you. As simple as that, right? Easier said than done. I know that from experience. It's a conscious decision I'm working on right now to make sure that I am taking those in stride and just not giving the qualifiers. So just saying thank you. A simple thank you is all we need to say, right? Practice it. I've been practicing in the mirror as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later after this little section, but just practice and say, just thank you. And then close your mouth. It's hard. It's hard. I know it's hard, but that's number 1. It's all we have to do to accept it without the qualifiers. Just say thank you. Another one that I have found works really well is to say thank you and then pay a compliment back of saying, thank you, I really like blah about you. Please make it genuine, whatever that is. Don't be searching for something off the bat. If you feel like you were searching, go back to step number 1, just say thank you. But if you find something that you admire about the person, or that they're working on a project, or you want to show them that respect, is just saying, thank you, I like X things, whatever that is, whether it be about a project or whether it be just something you admire about the person. I like that I like your outfit. I like your hairstyle. I like the way you handled that interview, that project, whatever it is, career-wise. Just something that is back to them that doesn't give you the qualifier. Thank you, I like, or thank you, you are, whatever the ending of that is in your space. But you're still receiving the compliment with gratitude and graciousness, not brushing it under the rug, not taking away its significance, but also diverting your brain from saying the qualifier behind it. And number three is one I have found recently that I actually found it via a podcast that I listened to. But the interview was happening between a very successful man who is a business coach, an executive coach, that he helps clients all across the board in very different niches, very different areas. But he did say something that was really important that has stuck with me over the last couple weeks, and I'm working on it. Um, when he interviews somebody for their their coaching, or goes through, they're working on a project and he's going through the things, and he happens to give a compliment or gives that positive feedback, and the person comes back at him and says, thank you, but, or has that qualifier word, and, but, whatever that is in your, or if, in whatever it is in your space, he fines them $20. He fines them $20 for every qualifier he finds. And I thought it was really interesting. You can leave this consultation or this meeting for however long it is, right? Let's pretend it's an hour, that you could leave $0. You could leave out of there for free, or you could leave out of there with extra money that you're already paying him to help you with your business. And it hit me so hard, kind of hit me right between the eyes of saying, wow, if I am charging myself, I know people do swear jars occasionally if they're working on a habit, a jar of a sort as they're working on a habit to find themselves for whatever that is. That, why shouldn't I do it for the same thing? Why should I not do it for adding a qualifier to either feedback or a compliment or something like that? Now, I'm not fining myself $20 because that would go really quickly. But I am fining myself $1 for the qualifiers I use in accepting compliments. And to watch myself put that in the jar is really hard. And I know it's $1 doesn't seem significant, especially kind of with the way things are right now. $1 doesn't really seem like it's going to make that much impact. But thinking, watching the jar fill up and saying, oh, well, I could have bought something with that amount of money, that it kind of stings a little bit, and it adds up, and it adds up quickly. Surprisingly, you become very aware of your language in how you are saying and what you're saying and how you're trying to improve yourself. So I do find myself, I have found that it is successful because I stop. I have gotten slightly better. I'm not going to say a lot better, because this is a process that I've had in place for maybe a couple weeks. So it hasn't changed overnight. As research suggests, it takes 21 days to create a habit. I'm not at 21 days yet. And this will be in my mindset, in my frame of mind, and unraveling this conditioning that I have, it's going to take longer than 21 days, but I'm on the path. I'm on this process of saying, okay, I'm paying attention to how I receive it and allowing it to boost me up no matter what state I'm in. So again, for those of you seeing me right now, I am fully not done up. It's been a crazy house and a crazy morning at my house. But I'm not standing and saying I should have all of these compliments, whether I'm done up or not. But when they come, I am not looking and saying, thank you, but I'm not giving the, it was one of those days, or I haven't done anything yet. I've been running around. I haven't washed my hair. I feel kind of like icky I'm not giving any qualifiers. I'm just saying, this is who I am today. This is how I'm showing up. And I'm being transparent and honest in that as well. And thank you. Thank you for just being here. Thank you for just seeing me for a real life person. Thank you for just seeing that I am exactly the same as you. I'm functioning as the best I can with what I've been given. So for that, accepting the compliment of coming across and finding myself to make myself feel more confident in who I am and the person that I am, Number two, that I was seen and that somebody really went out of their way to make sure that they knew that I was there and that they let me know that they saw me. And when I've been working on this as well, this accepting and receiving the compliment, it made me think about somebody else in when they're giving it to me and how I feel when I give somebody a compliment and they come back with a qualifier, kind of like, why did I say anything? Why was that important? I should have just let it go. They don't care, type of thing. Those are thoughts that run through my mind as I'm giving it and it's received with the qualifier, but I'm doing the same to them in when I give the qualifier back to them and say, thank you, but thank you for, or thank you and, or trying to deflect what they're trying to give me, trying to give my soul, rather than letting it buoy me up and build me up and build up my confidence. Maybe it is the perfect thing that I needed in that moment because I wasn't feeling top of my game. I wasn't feeling like I was really doing anything of any value to anybody. And having somebody just say, you're doing a great job, or thank you for just putting yourself out there. Thank you for talking about this topic, is saying, like, it tells me, thank you. Like, I served the world today. And you listening to me and watching me, however you're viewing this, also buoys me up and says that I have something that you found helpful, and I hope that it does help you. That's what a compliment is something that buoys somebody up in the long run. Think about what happens in your mind when you receive a compliment and how it makes you feel. Everybody feels it differently, so think about that for a minute. Sit in that feeling of when somebody does give you that compliment of, oh, I really like how this makes me feel. And move on. Sit in that feeling, allow it to wash over you, allow it to buoy you up, allow it to add to your confidence, whatever that looks like. Knowing that you're going into the next moment one rung higher on the ladder than you were maybe 5 minutes ago. Everything is always changing so fast paced, and our emotional states are always on what I feel like a never ending roller coaster ride, that just having somebody give you that small moment of gratitude and that small moment of admiration and respect just boosts your roller coaster up just a little bit more, that maybe you can stay on the highs a little bit longer before riding the rest of the roller coaster. That high of being in that higher state is actually a longer period, and you can feel more fulfilled in who you are and know that you do have something to contribute to the world, in when it seems like you're just kind of a cog at times. And as an entrepreneur, I can say from my point of view and my perspective, it is a lonely experience. And I've had a lot of other fellow entrepreneurs that I communicate with that have said the same thing. It's a very lonely experience. Sometimes you don't get those compliments or that validation that you're looking for. And sometimes you're going through the day-to-day task list going, what value is this adding? What value am I adding to the world? Am I really making an impact? Am I really helping somebody on the other end of this? And those are thoughts I hear all the time in my own brain of, is this helping anybody? And am I really reaching the hearts of the people that I'm serving and that need to hear the message that I've got? For anybody out there doing whatever it is, life at times feels like it is lonely. You feel like you're just that proverbial cog in the wheel in the machine, that you just make things run and that nobody really notices that you're doing anything. Nobody really notices that you're contributing in any way, shape, or form, but you are seen And it may not be in the way that you were thinking, but you are seen. People do see it. But at the same time, I think some people are nervous or afraid to give a compliment for what it could be in different states. Maybe it may be misconstrued in or misunderstood and taken the wrong way and not the way it was meant to sound. So you keep it inside. You aren't sharing that with somebody when it could actually benefit somebody. Do the things that are a little bit harder in the giving them. It is equally as hard at points to give them depending on the environment. Sometimes in a workplace, it feels harder to give than personally to a friend or to a family member or somebody that you know, in the fact an acquaintance, in the fact that it won't be, you have less of a chance of it being misunderstood or taken out of context or taken the wrong way, whatever that looks like to the person you're giving it to. But still do it. Everybody right now, I feel, needs to be seen a little bit more than they are. That we're kind of all in this same boat, paddling, trying to get just some semblance of a normal routine with things flipping on their head day to day, that it's easier to feel more alone than ever. That the building up of the confidence of somebody to just say, I see you, and giving that compliment of, I like your outfit, could be the one thing that changes their whole entire mindset and their whole entire day. So to wrap up this episode, think about how you receive compliments. Think about how you pay compliments. Also, take the time to reflect on what you're going to do to accept a compliment without a qualifier, without making it seem less than it actually is, without making it seem like it is not as important as it is. Think about how it feels to receive that on the other end as well. Pay a compliment to somebody and see what happens when the qualifier comes to you. How does that make you feel? That's probably how they feel in the long run when we do it back, right? There's always two sides to everything, give and receive. Human life is about giving and receiving. And the things that we view are important and want people to know that we value shouldn't be brushed away for them as, oh, well, I'm not confident in that, so I don't necessarily value that as much about myself. Build each other up. Build each other to have more highs than lows, and test it out. If you are finding yourself, let me know. I would love to know how much you are finding yourself. If it's $1, if it's 25 cents, if it's a penny, whatever that looks like, let me know. Let me know your thoughts, how you feel about this episode, how you feel about accepting compliments. I want to show up for you in the best way possible. If you have a topic suggestion, show up and let me know. Tell me, email me, find me on Instagram. It's at Mallory McGary. You can find me on LinkedIn at Mallory McGary as well. Email in at mallory@beautifully-blooming.com. Let me know what really speaks to your heart. Let me know what you would like to hear about. Let me know if there's something that you would like to just get more insight on from a different point of view. Whatever it is in your life that you're looking for, let me know. Also, doors to my newest program, Momdenity, are open. Webinar is coming soon. It will be in the next 2 weeks. Sign up for the live webinar I am doing. All the details are on beautifullyblooming.com as well. You can jump in and sign up for that waitlist, sign up for the time for that, for free live webinar with what that looks like and all of those details. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and have a fabulous next week until our next episode. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I'm the founder and CEO of beautifully blooming.com. You can find me at beautifully blooming.com or Mallory at beautifully blooming.com. Find me on Instagram or at LinkedIn under Mallory McGary. And you are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. And I will talk to you guys soon.